So the Baltimore Ravens have re-signed a key veteran free agent on their defense. Plus, we got a ton of NFL free agency updates around the NFL. We got some deadlines and much more Baltimore Ravens news. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock. As always, bringing you guys our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Ravens today, man. Hope you all having a fantastic day. Let's dive into the content. At number 1, I want to just remind everyone, just so you can see a list of all of the players the Ravens have lost in free agency so far. Because we hear one there, one here, and it's like, oh, it's not that bad. But then when you look at the list, and you're like, man, the Ravens have lost this many guys. It's pretty impactful. And in fact, there was a chart that showed the value of the players we've lost, and we're at the highest in the NFL as far as players lost and impact of those players. So the Ravens got some work to do. Fortunately for them, they have 9 draft picks, 2 fourth-round picks, a third, a second, and a first. So they got some ammunition. They still have a little bit of salary cap and some moves they can make in that manner. But they got their hands full, their work cut out. Here's the list so far. Kevin Zeitler, Morgan Moses, who we know we traded back to the Jets, Patrick Queen, Gus Edwards, Geno Stone, Devin Duvernay, Ronald Darby, John Simpson, Tyler Huntley, Clowney, and Odell Beckham Jr. It's not official if we've lost Jadeveon Clowney yet, but among this list, Clowney's definitely one of the highest impact guys that I would love to see back. At number 2, another guy that a lot of Ravens fans have been talking about, we've talked about him briefly in another video, is actually 2 guys that have just signed. First of all, Chase Young and wide receiver Mike Williams. So if you're looking at the type of money these guys are getting, wide receiver Mike Williams got a 1-year deal worth up to $15 million with the New York Jets. Pretty similar to the deal that Odell Beckham Jr. got here with the Ravens last season. So Mike Williams, another guy that you can take off your free agency target list. And I'll go ahead and throw a couple of names out there that are still on my wish list. Wide receiver Josh Reynolds, Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, Mekhi Becton, Dalton Risner, Josh Uche, I think he might have signed a deal, Andrew Van Winkle, D'Amico Autry, Emmanuel Agba, Derek Barnett, Clowney, Van Noy, Rasheem Green, Jahad Ward. There's some safeties out there that cornerback Stephon Gilmore, Kendall Fuller, Justin Simmons, Adoree Jackson. I think Justin Simmons might have signed a deal. Let me know. Keep me up to date if any of those guys I just mentioned had already signed a deal. But there's still talent to be had out there. There probably will be a good amount of post-June cuts that the Ravens will be interested in. They do it every single year because it does not count against the compensatory pick formula. And we know the Ravens value their draft picks because, as you see, when you hit on your draft picks with guys like Patrick Queen and Gus Edwards and Geno Stone and Duvernay and Huntley, like guys that have success in the league, guys go off to free agency. They get paid by other teams because you can't keep everyone, which also necessitates the need for more draft picks so you can hit on more guys. So it's kind of like a cycle, right? But the Ravens love to sign guys post-June 1st so it doesn't count against the formula for comp picks. But the other guy a lot of Ravens fans, including myself, had some interest in was Chase Young. He just signed with the Saints. I believe it was like a $12 million deal. But it was reported that the Ravens had interest in Chase Young before the trade deadline during the season. They had an offer on the table, but apparently wouldn't budge for any more draft capital because of the neck injury issue that he's had. And it's interesting because as soon as he signs that deal with the Saints, gets his money, his guarantees, now he's going to get that neck surgery, and you don't know how he's going to necessarily recover, but apparently the Saints were comfortable with it. And speaking of the edge position, I have a specific question for you guys, man. I was thinking about this, and I just want to hear everyone's thoughts in the comment section below. We got Odafe Oweh. We know that. We got Tavius Robinson. And then the wild card, right? The second-round pick from a couple of years ago from the 2022 NFL draft was David Ajabo. Okay, this was a guy that was supposed to be a top 15 pick, talent-wise, production-wise, that he had with Michigan. But then we know he tore his Achilles. I think it was at his pro day. He missed the 2022 season, his rookie year. Most of it, at least. He came back towards the very end, had a strip sack on Joe Burrow. Then the next year, he gets his knee jacked up and then needed a knee surgery. So he hasn't been healthy. But I want to know, have you completely written off David Ajabo? Do you have like some hopes? Do you have a high hopes? Like, what is your expectation level for a guy like David Ajabo to come in and be a pass rushing difference maker for this team? Because I'll tell you what, if Odafe Oweh and David Ajabo get to their ceiling or close to it, they could be a pretty formidable duo rushing off the edge. But that's a big if, right? They got to develop some more, and they got to stay healthy, both of them. But let me know what you guys think about David Ajabo in the comment section below. At number 4, speaking of the edge position and Odafe Oweh, if you remember the 2021 draft class, we got Rashad Bateman and Odafe Oweh in the first round. We got that first round pick that we used on Odafe Oweh from the Orlando Brown Jr. trade when we traded him to the Kansas City Chiefs. So here's a reminder that the key important date to know here is May 2nd. So we're getting pretty close to May 2nd. That's whenever the deadline is for NFL clubs to exercise that 5th-year option. And the Ravens will have 2 decisions to make with both of their first-round picks in Odafe Oweh and Rashad Bateman. So should the Ravens pick up those 5th-year options for one or the other or both or neither? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments as well. And at number 5, the Ravens shoring up their cornerback room with Arthur Marlette coming back, re-signing on a apparently multi-year deal, which is pretty interesting because I would have kind of anticipated maybe a 1-year, pretty low veteran type of deal, but apparently it's a multi-year deal. But it's well-deserved because Arthur Marlette played some excellent football for the Ravens last year, and he did a lot of damage right there in that nickel blitz role when he was just surprising guys and coming downhill and getting some sacks, getting some batted balls, and don't forget how effective he was in coverage as well. So he also just has that Raven mentality, like the come down and tackle, tenacious, run to the football type of play style that he has. And he earned himself a multi-year deal with the Ravens. And now the Ravens cornerback room is looking a lot more well-rounded. Arthur Marlette, Darius Washington, Pepe Williams, Jalen Armour-Davis, Brendan Stevens, and Marlon Humphrey is a solid cornerback room. Most of that secondary is returning. The main guy that's not returning, as far as all the puzzle pieces from last year, is Ronald Darby, who signed a deal elsewhere and is not returning to the Baltimore Ravens. But I definitely like bringing back a lot of our own guys. We brought back Malik Harrison. We brought back Arthur Marlette. We brought back Nelson Aguilar. Justin Madubuike, we know, got the monster deal. And then we went out and signed the free agent Derrick Henry. So the Ravens have lost a lot of guys, but they've also retained a good amount of guys. And the big outside acquisition was Derrick Henry, as we know, who we expect to be a big difference maker in the offense in 2024. So we're getting closer and closer to the draft. We're going to keep the mock drafts coming. We're going to be, covering all the different waves of free agency. We're going to be covering everything you need to know for the Baltimore Ravens. We also got Orioles games starting here soon, and I'm excited about that, to watch our Orioles, who have some high expectations this season. So if you guys enjoyed today's content, man, don't forget to leave the video a like. It really helps out the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell so we can keep you up to date on all of your Baltimore Ravens news, content, updates, and everything you need to know. Man, I love you guys, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ray, when he wasn't looking, he ran me over.